For centuries, Hampton Court guarded secrets that even Henry VIII's closest advisors never confessed. When archaeologists uncovered a sealed chamber and coded Tudor letters beneath the royal apartments, the discovery challenged everything we thought we knew about palace intrigue, hidden alliances, and political survival in Tudor England. What else lies within these newly revealed walls, and whose fate was decided in secret, far from prying eyes? Survey grids stretched across the ancient stone floors as the field archaeologist adjusted the controls of a ground-penetrating radar unit. The device emitted low-frequency pulses, mapping the subsurface layer by layer. Each scan generated a dense matrix of data points, revealing subtle anomalies hidden beneath centuries of masonry. In the heart of Hampton Court's former privy lodgings, a distinct void appeared, an empty space roughly rectangular, cut off from known corridors and not aligned with any documented chamber. The anomaly measured just over 2 meters wide and extended nearly 4 meters along the wall, its depth confirmed by micro-LiDAR sweeps to be consistent with Tudor-era floor levels. Historic blueprints failed to explain the gap. No service route or storage room appeared in the surviving plans. The field archaeologist, trained in both architectural history and digital imaging, cross-referenced the new scans against 16th century inventories. The absence of any mention of a chamber in this location raised questions about its purpose and intentional concealment. Micro-LiDAR, capable of capturing minute surface variations, confirmed that the ceiling above the void showed no signs of collapse or later infill. This was not a structural failure, but a deliberately sealed space. The team marked the area for targeted excavation, noting that the precision of the digital imaging would allow for minimal disruption to the surrounding fabric. As preparations began, the archaeologist reflected on the rarity of such a find. A hidden chamber undisturbed for centuries, detected only through the convergence of historical research and modern technology. Each scan brought the team closer to uncovering what lay behind the palace's most carefully guarded walls. The combination of radar and micro-LiDAR imaging, together with archival research, created a new pathway into the past. Subscribe for updates as the excavation continues. Careful chiseling exposed the chamber's outline beneath layers of brick and stone, its entryway sealed tight with a double course of handmade Tudor bricks. Each brick bore the distinctive marks of early 16th century firing, and the mortar, unusually dense, hinted at a deliberate effort to block access. The final layer had been smoothed and painted to match the surrounding wall, erasing any visible trace of a doorway. When the last bricks were removed, a pocket of still air escaped, a space untouched for centuries. Inside, the chamber's proportions were modest, just over 2 meters across and stretching nearly 4 meters in length, with a low, arched ceiling of red brick. The floor was paved with worn stone flags, each set with precision. Along the north wall, a narrow opening led into a concealed passage, barely wide enough for a single person to pass. This passage did not appear on any known plan of the palace, nor did it align with documented service routes from the period. Against the far wall, a small oak table stood, its surface scattered with personal items, a silver pomander, a velvet-bound notebook, and fragments of wax seals. The objects showed signs of hurried abandonment, as if their owner intended to return. Dust covered everything, yet the chamber's air remained dry, preserving delicate materials that would have decayed elsewhere. The construction style and ceiling technique suggested not a forgotten storeroom, but a space intentionally hidden, its purpose and occupants now subjects for further scientific analysis. To follow further updates on this investigation and the analysis to come, please subscribe. A forensic chemist in a white lab coat set a series of labelled vials onto the counter, each containing a sample scraped from the chamber's flagstones, table, and the crevices of the oak surface. The laboratory's gas chromatograph mass spectrometer hummed as it separated and identified the chemical signatures present in each sample. The resulting charts displayed a complex spectrum of organic and inorganic compounds. Among the most prominent were traces of imported spices, including cinnamon and clove, substances valued in the 16th century not only for their flavour, but also for their use in preserving and masking odours. More surprising was the presence of mercury compounds, historically used in Tudor England for the treatment of skin conditions and as a component in ointments for syphilis. Additional residues matched the profiles of herbal tinctures derived from rosemary and wormwood, both associated with medicinal remedies of the period. The combination of rare spices and medicinal chemicals, especially in such a contained environment, pointed away from culinary or storage uses. Instead, the evidence suggested this chamber once served a specialized function, likely related to private medical practice or confidential consultations, requiring discretion and controlled access. The findings required careful conservation to prevent further chemical degradation. A conservation specialist stepped into the chamber, monitoring the environment with a handheld sensor. The air inside held steady at just under 19 degrees Celsius, with relative humidity maintained below 50%, a rare stability for a space sealed for centuries. These conditions slowed the natural decay of organic materials, preserving delicate items like parchment, velvet, and wood. The conservator logged each artifact's position, recording dimensions and visible features before any movement. Using acid-free trays and custom supports, she stabilized the silver pomander and the velvet-bound notebook in situ. Each object was assigned a unique digital record, complete with microclimate data and high-resolution photographs. This careful documentation ensured that no information would be lost, even as some items remained too fragile to remove immediately. The team installed remote sensors to track temperature and humidity over time, protecting the chamber from sudden shifts that could trigger deterioration. Conservation protocols prioritized reversible treatments, allowing future researchers to re-examine artifacts with improved technology. These steps laid the groundwork not only for laboratory analysis, but for a future exhibition, ensuring that evidence from the hidden chamber would survive for continued study and public understanding, supporting long-term preservation. A Tudor political historian examined the cipher fragments retrieved from the chamber, noting their complexity and deviation from more common substitution codes of the era. The script revealed a polyalphabetic structure. Multiple shifting alphabets were layered within the same passage, and successful decryption required knowledge of a shared key. Linguistic markers and the arrangement of symbols suggested a deliberate effort to conceal both the sender's identity and the message's content. This level of cryptographic sophistication was rare in early 16th century England, usually reserved for moments when court factions faced heightened scrutiny or risk. Three main scenarios emerged from the evidence matrix. The first posited the chamber as a covert council room where trusted courtiers exchanged encoded messages during periods of political investigation, such as those surrounding Anne Boleyn or Catherine Howard. The second hypothesis considered the medicinal residues and personal objects, proposing the space functioned as a private medical consultation chamber with ciphered notes recording confidential treatments or diagnoses. The third possibility pointed to the narrow concealed passage absent from all surviving plans, suggesting the room operated as a controlled access hub for discreet communication, perhaps even facilitating contact with agents beyond palace walls. Each theory rested on a combination of physical evidence and the cipher's structure, but the historian stressed that more analysis was needed. The historian emphasized that further architectural analysis would be essential to narrow these interpretations. Ongoing laboratory tests and careful excavation will be necessary to confirm how the chamber was used. Decoding the cipher could reveal new details about Tudor espionage, factional politics, or royal medical practice. Yet for now, the evidence supports several plausible functions for the sealed space. The discovery challenges our assumptions about secrecy and controlled communication at Henry VIII's court. Subscribe now for updates. Curators and researchers now gather in a secure office above the palace's main archive, surrounded by enlarged blueprints and digital renderings of Hampton Court's evolving structure. The recent discovery has prompted a full-scale re-examination of the palace's architectural plans, with a specialist team poring over centuries of modifications in search of other undocumented spaces. Each blueprint is scanned and digitally overlaid with new LiDAR and radar data, revealing subtle inconsistencies, walls that do not match, corridors that end abruptly, and voids that might conceal further secrets. The curatorial staff has outlined a phased plan for public engagement. The first stage will focus on conservation and analysis, keeping the chamber sealed except to essential personnel. Detailed reports and progress updates will be published online, inviting feedback from historians and the wider public. As conservation advances, the team will prepare a temporary exhibition featuring digital models, high-resolution images, and select artifacts, allowing visitors to follow the research as it unfolds. Funding applications are already underway, supporting both the technical investigation and the public exhibition. The aim is not only to preserve the chamber's contents, but to invite ongoing dialogue about the palace's hidden history. Curators will re-examine palace plans, compare them with newly uncovered architectural anomalies, and continue laboratory analysis of the artifacts and fragments. The exhibition will use generic Tudor Palace B-roll, graphics and maps for the hidden chamber, and recorded expert interview footage that places the finds in their political and medical context. For the latest developments, and to receive updates as the project continues to reveal new layers of Hampton Court's past, please subscribe. Centuries-old secrets do not just vanish. They shape the way power is protected and revealed. As technology unlocks hidden chambers, the boundaries between history and surveillance begin to blur. What remains undiscovered beneath our most iconic sites may still reshape the story of who truly controls the present. Over generic Tudor Palace B-roll, graphics and maps of the hidden chamber appear, and expert interviews underline the stakes. Subscribe for more untold histories.